Just ahead on CTV News, if you work in the federal government, big changes are here. And the frigid temperatures are sticking around. Find out how you can stay safe.
So when the weather is cold, we do recommend that you use warming layers. Also, you want to avoid getting anything wet.
Plus, this Commanders quarterback wins Rookie of the Year. Those stories and more on CTV News starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for January 22nd. I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us. Well, it's back to the office for federal workers. Soon after President Donald Trump was sworn in on Monday, he signed an executive order mandating all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government to terminate remote work effective immediately. Federal workers have had the option to work in hybrid and full telework schedules since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And Maryland House of Delegates Minority Whip Jesse Pippy voiced his support of the president's swift executive action.
Maryland taxpayers expect that their public servants are working hard and they're working 5 days a week. And I think the president wants to send that message that, hey, if you're going to have the honor of working for the federal government, we want you working. That may impact traffic to some extent because we have about 300,000 federal workers in our state. But look, we're hopeful. I think it's a new direction for the country, and I think the president wanted to start off with a bang by making some decisions as he promised during the campaign season.
And Maryland was one of 22 states that sued to block another one of President Donald Trump's executive orders, ending birthright citizenship, which guaranteed that U.S.-born children are citizens regardless of their parents' status. Trump's roughly 700-word executive order amounts to a fulfillment of something he's talked about during the presidential campaign. CASA, alongside 5 pregnant women, have filed a lawsuit with their legal partners to protect birthright citizenship.
We know we have a federal government that is attacking and targeting our communities. Now we must work together and find solutions at the state and local levels that protect our families.
And whether the order succeeds is far from certain amid what is likely to be a lengthy legal battle over the president's immigration policies and a constitutional right to citizenship. And with the president planning to move forward with mass deportation, CASA is making sure that undocumented residents know their rights. CASA, which is an immigrant rights group, says it's ramping up its Know Your Rights training sessions. The organization has been doing these sessions for decades, which teach its members, particularly those who are undocumented, how to properly engage with ICE agents. Officials say many immigrant families have become fearful since Trump took office just 2 days ago.
People are absolutely scared for good reason. These executive orders and the campaign as a whole leading up to today has been one focused on inciting fear and violence on the immigrant community. I will tell you, though, our community is fired up. We are ready to fight back. While there is this energy of uncertainty, there is also an energy of outrage. People are ready to fight. They are ready to fight for their rights.
And Paul says residents that have witnessed an ICE raid or had encounters with an ICE agent can report those incidents to CASA's raid hotline. That number is 1-888-214-6016. The 24-hour hotline is available in English, Spanish, and French. And the end of DEI is near in the federal government. President Donald Trump released a memo directing federal agencies to place all diversity, equity, and inclusion staff on paid administrative leave by 5 p.m. today and develop plans to eventually lay them off. All DEI-related programs and contracts must also be terminated. Federal agents could face penalties if DEI initiatives are renamed to mask its intended agenda. And hundreds of people charged in the January 6th attack on the Capitol were pardoned by President Trump Monday. Nearly 50 of those people were Marylanders. Others included white supremacist extremists like Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. It's just one of the first campaign promises Trump is delivering on. And Maryland delegate Marvin Holmes says the move represents a double standard.
Now that the president has pardoned all of those 1,500 people, I don't want to hear anyone talking about mass incarceration and talking about imprisoning folks that should not have been imprisoned when those who clearly have broken the law are being let go. We have persons in the state of Maryland and across the country that have been proven to be innocent, and they are still incarcerated.
And many people convicted in the Capitol attack had already served out their sentences, but those still in prison for more violent charges were released this week, and ongoing cases are being dismissed by the Justice Department. And fear is growing that Governor Wes Moore will defund the state's registers of wills. According to reports, Maryland registers of wills are worried that the governor's tax reform proposal would result in them losing revenue. Moore wants to repeal the state's inheritance tax. Reports show that local registers of wills get about 90% of their revenue from inheritance tax. Officials with the Moore administration say they plan to continue to fund all 24 of the registers of wills. And the Arctic chill gripping our region is more than just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Doctors are warning about the risks of hypothermia, a condition that can be life-threatening if left untreated. Hypothermia occurs when your body loses heat faster than it can produce it, causing a dangerous drop in core temperature. Symptoms include shivering, confusion, slurred speech, and exhaustion.
In severe cases, people also sometimes have, and I'm sure sometimes people have heard this, things like paradoxical undressing. Usually that happens in the very late stages of hypothermia, where people will start to feel warm and in turn will take off their clothing. If you're suspecting you have hypothermia, immediately call 911. You definitely need to be evaluated because, again, with hypothermia, it can become life-threatening if severe enough. So you would need to go to your nearest hospital, to your emergency department, and have a series of labs, as well as an EKG, an evaluation done to prevent any type of serious injury as a result.
And Dr. Weiss also says that you should stay alert for those most vulnerable, including children, the elderly, and the homeless. And to remember that dressing properly could save your life in these freezing temperatures. You're watching CTV News. I'm Mariah Jalad. Still to come, a missing woman was recently found dead in her boyfriend's home. After the break, find out how she passed and what her family has to say.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we are at our best, we have more to offer the world around us. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. Thanks to your donations, we're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Well, here on CTV News, we're diving into today's biggest headlines in education, keeping you informed and ahead of the curve. Michaela?
Welcome to Classroom Close-Up, your go-to source for the top stories shaping Prince George's County and Maryland education. I'm Michaela Newton, bringing you the latest updates on everything from local education news to statewide developments. So another winter day, another 2-hour delay. Most schools in the Metro DC area opened up on a 2-hour delay due to low temperatures. As of right now, there hasn't been any changes to the winter weather makeup plan, but we will keep you updated. If you need more information, you can find that information on PGCPS. And have you seen it? Immigration resources are posted on PGCPS's website. With President Trump beginning a sweeping crackdown on immigration, Superintendent House posted a letter and video to the website addressing concerns.
PGCPS is a community rooted in diversity and inclusion, and together we represent more than 150 countries and languages from all over the world. We are here to support you, not just today, but in the weeks to come and even the months ahead. We will continue to share information and resources to ensure every family in our community really is informed and empowered.
And yesterday, Governor Wes Moore visited Frederick County, the fastest growing county in the state, to address the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal and investment in school construction. Although it's unclear how the budget might affect overcrowding in Prince George's, the governor is putting in $33.4 million into school construction in Prince George's through IAC in the capital budget. In a statement, the governor said, quote, "A world-class education system is the foundation on which we build everything else. That's why our administration is committed to investing in our young people and ensuring that our schools have the capacity needed to deliver on our promise." And finally, the Moore administration has proposed the Excellence in Maryland Public Schools Act to help ease the impact of budget cuts on education. The plan would create grants for districts to improve collaborative time for teachers and address vacancies. This comes amid a projected $3 billion budget gap for fiscal 2026, with some parts of the blueprint for Maryland's future at risk of cuts. Governor Moore hopes the legislation will soften the blow, especially after a recent recommendation to pause the expansion of collaborative time. The blueprint aims to shift teachers' time from 80% in the classroom to 60% in the classroom and 40% in collaborative time within the next 8 years. So stay with us as we dive into the day's biggest headlines in education, keeping you informed and ahead of the curve.
Thanks, Michaela. And after 29-year-old Alexis Schuler was reported missing, a chilling discovery unfolded. Authorities found her lifeless body buried behind a wall in a Capitol Heights home. Officials believe this was the residence of her boyfriend. The man now in custody is 30-year-old Devontae Gray. Investigators have revealed a heartbreaking twist. Alexis was shot and hidden in the wall by Gray, who has since confessed to the murder. Detectives suspect the fatal shooting occurred during a heated argument between the two. In an emotional press conference yesterday, Alexis's family spoke out.
Alexis will be deeply missed, and there is a void in our family that can never be filled. Her 3 children will no longer feel their mother's embrace or hear their mother's voice. And all she wanted was to come home to them.
And Gray faces first-degree murder and related charges for Schuler's death and is being held without bond. And firefighters responded to 2 separate incidents over the weekend. Crews were called to a tire shop on the 6700 block of Suitland Road in Morningside on January 17th. The entire business was engulfed in flames. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Just the following day, a fire broke out at an apartment building in District Heights on Walker Mill Road. Flames were seen coming from the top floor and roof. Fire officials are investigating both of those incidents. And Greenbelt police need your help finding this attempted robbery suspect. The surveillance video caught the suspect fleeing from the 6500 block of Spring Crest Drive last week shortly before 8 p.m. Anyone that can identify or knows the whereabouts of the suspect is asked to call 301-474-7200. And a deathly Maryland road will get a memorial for drivers that died in accidents there if Prince George's delegation can make it law. Maryland Route 210 has been called the state's most dangerous road, and since 2007, nearly 100 people have died in crashes there. Prince George's Bill 307 would require the State Highway Administration to put up a memorial sign on that very stretch of road, reading, quote, "In memory of the lives lost on Maryland Route 210, we are making our highway safer." Another bill is up this session that would raise fines for speeding on that highway, but that bill has failed 3 times before. The memorial bill passed subcommittee today and will move forward this session. And lawmakers are rethinking a law that enabled child sex abuse victims to sue their abusers now that the settlements are putting the state in financial jeopardy. Maryland passed the Child Victims Act in 2023, which eliminated statutory limits on lawsuits filed by survivors of child sexual abuse. Legislative analysts say the Attorney General's office is negotiating a settlement of as many as 3,500 cases alleging sexual abuse from state agencies, meaning the state could face billions in potential liabilities. This has lawmakers considering limits to the law, like a cap on how much money can be collected. And as we continue to unravel President Trump's sweeping mandates, one that could affect the state of Maryland directly involves wind energy. The issuance, loans, permits, and approval of offshore wind projects were halted Monday following an executive order. This includes Maryland's offshore wind project construction and operation plan, which the Department of the Interior approved last month. And still to come on CTV News, a local organization is doing their part to help disadvantaged students. Learn how they help each child bloom after the break.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license." And she's like, "I passed." And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is.
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you. Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Got one of these hanging on the wall? You're qualified. One of these? You're qualified too. Love a good checklist? Qualified. 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 Yep, qualified. Because if you know how to put up anything in your home, you're qualified to save lives by installing free smoke alarms in your community. Go to soundthealarm.org to find a volunteer event near you.
A Prince George's County gardening organization that helps students grow their own food is expanding. This year, it set up shop at a school for kids with autism. Byron Scott has our story.
The challenge is for us to be able to communicate to the students.
At a greenhouse in Beltsville.
All right, we're watering. Now we're watering. We're adding compost tea. Great, awesome.
Some young people are learning the basics of gardening.
Bella's watering our dragon fruit.
They are students at James E. Duckworth School.
This is a regional school, which means that we work with students with special needs who would struggle in our general education population.
On this day, 3 students, all nonverbal, took part in the class. Bella, Gary, and Bernardo.
Right here, Bernardo. Great job. Whoa. Great job. Awesome job.
The sessions are run by Nema's Gardens, an organization which teaches students in several county schools how to grow their own food.
The program allows them to come in, help plant, help water, and just maintain the overall maintenance of the garden.
Nema's Gardens' first year at Duckworth came with some challenges, namely learning how to communicate with someone who can't talk.
So we really have to watch their body language.
Yeah, you want to try it again? No.
So we get a lot back from them in that sense, but they also have the opportunity to use communication boards and the communication symbols in the space around them to share what they're learning. And it's really an engaging process because of how hands-on things are within the greenhouse and the program we have.
All around the greenhouse is the fruit of their labor.
But we have some grasses. We're starting on some flowers like some calendula, sunflowers, cone flowers. We have arugula in here. We have lettuce. We're about to start some warm-loving crops like the peppers. Yay. Come on, more.
The goal?
Just to always to teach them how to grow. Teach them how to grow food. But I'm not sure if the goal is for them or is it for us and our team to learn just a better way of communicating.
In the end, everyone involved in the program is, in a way, both student and teacher.
We're learning a lot from the students, and we're learning a lot about ourselves.
Byron Scott, CTV News.
Thanks, Byron. And to learn more about Nema's Gardens, go to nemasgardens.com. And Metro is celebrating the return of pandas to the Smithsonian Zoo with a new Smart Trip card. Although the giant pandas Bao Li and Qing Bao won't make their public debut until Friday, Metro riders can purchase these limited edition cards starting today. Interested riders can look for specifically marked fare vending machines. And this is Metro's 4th panda-themed Smart Trip card or paper ticket. It's time for our pet of the week. Meet Tesla. She's a 1-year-old black Labrador Retriever mix. She's been at the shelter since the 2nd. Animal management says Tesla's looking for her forever home.
Typically with lab mixes, they're really active but very sweet. She is definitely both of those. So for our dog adoptions, we have a tiered adoption price. It's by weight. And Tesla is a perfect 52 pounds. So we think that she would do good in any home.
And if you'd like to adopt Tesla or any of her furry friends, call Animal Management at 301-780-7200. And still to come, Simon Buggs has our Wednesday sports page.
What's going on, everyone? Don't move, because coming up on your Wednesday sports page, quarterback Jaden Daniels gets recognized for his great rookie season. That story and more coming up on CTV Sports. Be right back.
We grew up together. We believed in something bigger than ourselves. The military took me to one side of the world and her to the other. And even though she was always the strong one, when we caught up years later, I found out she had fallen on some hard times. It was her call to make, but doing it together made all the difference.
When I see homeless vets on my route, I always think to myself, we both swore an oath to protect our way of life, to protect our community. With VA's hotline for homeless vets, I can get them connected with help to get them back on their feet again.
VA's round-the-clock hotline can put veterans who are homeless in touch with the resources and support they earned through their military service. you have the power to help a veteran facing homelessness. Go to va.gov/homeless to print your walled cards. For veterans who are homeless or on the brink of homelessness, call 877-424-3838.
Dear Santa, I hope you are having a good day in the North Pole. Is it cold all the time there? Is that why your cheeks are so rosy? My mom says I'm a good helper, but you didn't come last year. Was my chimney broken? I just really hope this year when I wake up, I'm gonna see that you came to my house too. Wow.
Donate and help the Marines deliver hope to a child in need.
All right, sports fans, it's time for your favorite segment, the Wednesday Sports Page. We begin with some news from the gridiron, as it's been an unbelievable season for the Washington Commanders. The team won 12 games for the first time since the 1991 season and made the playoffs for the first time since 2012. A big reason for the Burgundy and Gold success in 2024 is rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. In the regular season, Daniels started in all 17 games and completed 69% of his passes for 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 9 picks. And because of his stellar play, Daniels was named the Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year for the 2024 season by the Professional Football Writers of America. I caught up with some Commanders fans earlier, and they told me whether or not they were surprised that the former number 2 pick received this honor.
It definitely came as a shock. I was not expecting this when we drafted him back last year, but you said it yourself. He's having a prolific season, probably the best season that a rookie has ever had in the National Football League. If he's not mentioned in the MVP conversation, he at least should be.
Absolutely not. I'm definitely happy that he got that because he deserved it. Absolutely.
I think everybody's surprised. Nobody saw it coming, basically. So, yeah, I think everybody's surprised.
Daniels and company have a tough matchup ahead on Sunday as they will face off against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And the fans also shared their thoughts on whether or not they think the team has a chance to take down the green and white.
It's going to be a tough game, but I think we can pull it out. I believe in Jay Daniels, so I think we'll do great.
Anything can be done. Anything's possible. It's going to be a tough one, though. It's going to be a real tough game, but I think we can pull it off. It's a possibility. It's possible. As they've said all season with JD5 behind the center, anything is possible with this team. Philly is probably the one team that I wouldn't have wanted to play in the playoffs, but definitely the way they played this year, the way they've handled themselves, it's definitely possible, and I'll be rooting for them.
Kickoff is at 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, the Largo High School boys basketball squad is one of the best teams in the county. Over the last 2 seasons, the Lions have gone to back-to-back state championship games and won one last season. Because of this, teams are going to make sure they play their best brand of basketball against them in order to see how they stack up against the defending state champs. And head coach Rodney Ward talked about the process of making sure his team doesn't get too caught up in the success they had last season, so they maintain a level of focus to have another dominant year.
Talk about just the attitude of gratitude, being humble, and just having a level of humility to understand that whatever you get, it's because you earned it. But I think if we just stay in that moment and just stay focused, we should be fine. But like you say, everybody's Super Bowl, everybody's hunting us. We got to understand what those steps are that got us to what we got last year. We have 6 guys returning from last year's team, but at the same time, we have a bunch of new guys that didn't play as much last year that kind of think we just show up because we're Largo, we're going to win, and that's just not the case. So we want to make sure they focus on just getting better every day of practice, one drill at a time, one day at a time.
And wrapping up sports, the Washington Capitals came out on top against the Edmonton Oilers last night, 3-2. They'll take the ice next against the Seattle Kraken tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And that is your Wednesday Sports Page. Simon Bucks, CTV Sports. Back to you, Mariah.
Thanks, Simon. Now let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be partly cloudy with calm winds. Tomorrow it's going to be mostly sunny with a high of 33. Friday we get another sunny day to kick off the weekend. It'll be 32 degrees. Saturday will be just as nice when we reach a high of 36. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.